It's another arcade cabinet special so soon after the last one, and I'm here with John Dennis from Team17, who's going to run us through Worms Ultimate Mayhem. John, what can you tell us about this new instalment? Obviously we've seen some of the classic 2D style Worms on Xbox Live Arcade already. This is a revisit of the 3D Worms. Absolutely, and we thought, you know, with Worms 2 Armageddon, we thought that's a pretty good expression of the 2D games. And here with Worms Ultimate Mayhem, we've kind of got the ultimate expression of the 3D games. So it's a mash-up of both all of the content of Worms 3D and all of the content of Worms 4 Mayhem smashed into one kind of Xbox Live Arcade release. We didn't really want to we just didn't want to get the game out of the archive and kind of release it. Where we started was with looking at reviews of the original games with fan feedback, forums, and actually seeing what people didn't like about the original game. We spent a year in development actually fixing those problems. There's a little sequence when you start the game. There's kind of like a little worm and a narrator, and he introduces you to the game and asks you if you need help customizing your worms or going through the tutorial. So we've made it immediately a little more approachable. We've added a shot assist as well. So when you play the game on like an easy game setting, shot assist's turned up very high, and basically what it does is it kind of nudges your shot. It looks at where your shot's going to land, and it nudges it to a place where it's going to do a bit more damage. Right. We've tried to make the game more approachable. We've also, I always forget, the binoculars. We've added a special utility as well called the binoculars. You look through the binoculars, you can target an enemy worm, and it shows you the shot trajectory and the shot power you need to hit that worm. Right. You have to replicate the shot, so you still have to do it yourself. But we just tried to make the game a bit friendlier.
One aspect that's always been popular with Worms is being able to adjust the way they look, the way they sound, even name the worms as well, which is always, you know, when I was playing Worms back in my teens, back in the 90s, that was always the biggest draw, wasn't it? Just blowing up your, literally blowing up your.
You're not going to be disappointed then, no. Because so what I've got here, I've made this team, evil team. Here, the first thing I can do is I can change the speech bank, so I can choose what my worms say. I've got this one set to fighter pilot, but you could equally have gangster or pirate or rock star, you know, whatever takes your fancy.
So I was thinking he was quite Stalin-esque, but then there's an element of Blakey from On the Buses in there as well.
He's a little slightly ridiculous, isn't he? So I'm going to set him up with the general hat, but you know, I could give him an afro or
afro and a monocle. That's a combo you don't see very often.
So yeah, in terms of team customization, I think you've probably got more than you've ever had. Basically, the game, as I said, it's the entire content of kind of 2 previous games. There's quite a lot of content, and the way it works is this: we've got the main story is the single-player campaign from Worms 4 Mayhem. So there's 25 missions in there. There's kind of a funny little story that runs through it. Playing through that single-player campaign unlocks the missions from Worms 3D, so you've got another 35 missions to play through there from the original Worms 3D game. And the Xbox version has the 12 original challenges as well from Worms 3D, so they're exclusive to.
Right, are they exclusive to the XPLA version?
They're exclusive to the XPLA version, absolutely. If I start one of these, you can choose your game style, obviously. I'll choose a kitchen sink one, which has got everything. And there's another layer of customization, which is the worm pot. So this fruit machine here, what you can do, each of these reels is a modifier to the game rules.
Right.
So if I go along here, for example, this one is all worms are poisoned. You have to find a health crate there. They're all poisoned at the start of the game. You have to find a health crate to cure your worm. This one here, low gravity, brilliant. No bombing, that stops the ability of worms to drop weapons off of parachutes and jetpacks. And so you can either randomly select a set of modifiers, or you can nudge each of the reels on your own. So I'm just gonna fire off a shot here just to demonstrate the picture-in-picture functionality.
Oh, nice.
So something we had a problem with in the original one was often, you know, you'd want to fire your weapon and retreat after firing it, but when you retreated, you couldn't see where your weapon went. So what we've done now is we've got a picture-in-picture. This is a little picture there, it shows you exactly where your weapon goes.
Like your little swift getaway.
No, absolutely, and then it becomes the main screen when you're, you know, when you're retreating. So that's picture-in-picture. That's the feature I always forget.
There's an avatar. Avatar
support.
Go.
There's a feature I always forget. Obviously we've got achievements. They're kind of breadth and depth achievements. So we've got achievements for, you know, killing many worms, obviously your depth achievements. We've also got achievements for example, setting up and customizing your own team, you know, rewarding players for exploring every feature of the game.
Now, obviously, another big draw is going to be playing over live. So can you just tell us a little about the online gaming options?
Absolutely. So we've got 5 specific multiplayer modes. We've got classic deathmatch, obviously. We've got a mode called Homelands, which is a little like fort mode that you can play 1 to 4 players. We have another 3 modes, so statue defend. You know, so there's a variety of multiplayer modes you can play in. Each one you can play either on the same Xbox socially, because the game's turn-based, always a good thing. And you can also play them, you know, over live as well. You can play. We've got player matches, ranked matches as well, associated leaderboards for each of those modes. So it's fully functional in terms of, you know, what you'd expect from the live experience.
So just to wrap up, we've been through absolutely tons. I mean, this is a pretty huge offering for a retail release, but for an XBLA release seems super good value. So what's this retailing at?
I believe it's retailing at 1,200 points.
Fantastic, and it's out right now, so don't delay and grab it from the game marketplace. John, thanks very much for your time.
Very nice to meet you, thank you.
Cheers.
An inferior specimen. It simply had to be terminated.